Really? Memory is identity. It's you. Stephen King from Den McKee. When you think about it, our memory is often the only thing that reminds us of who we are, where we came from. Now imagine if that memory was lost, a little at a time, and how difficult that would be. Unfortunately, that's what happens with Alzheimer's disease. It slowly progresses a little more each day. In the 36-hour day, Dr. Peter Robbins defines Alzheimer's as the most frequent cause of irreversible dementia in adults. Structural and chemical changes occur in the brain, and there is no stop and no cure. Now let's think about how that impacts family members and caregivers of those affected by this disease. My name is Rebecca Allewine, and I've been nursing now for about 9 years. 3 of those years were spent working in a facility dedicated to the care of those with Alzheimer's and dementia-related illnesses. And my father was diagnosed with this illness about 5 years ago. I know personally the toll that this devastating illness can have on caregivers, whether it's a spouse, child, or family member. Today I want to discuss some ways to avoid caregiver stress and to educate on the signs and symptoms that are indicative of caregiver burnout. Upon further research on the subject, I came across an article on the Mayo Clinic website from October 8th of 2011, written by Angela Lund, and she quoted Dr. Pauline Boss, PhD, the author of Loving Someone Who Has Dementia, as saying, "When there's no cure to an illness or condition, the only window for hope is to become more comfortable with ambiguity and a less than perfect relationship." This made a great deal of sense to me, and that often caregivers feel like there's only one way of looking at the situation at hand. There is no clear-cut way to care for a loved one that's facing this disease. And she offered a few examples of a dual approach to thinking. She is both gone and still here. I take care of him and myself. I am both a caregiver and a person with my own needs. I both wish it was over, and I wish my loved one keeps on living. I am both sad about my lost hopes and dreams and happy about some new hopes and dreams. I think that if caregivers realize that often there are situations beyond their control, then the stress level will decrease. As pointed out by Dr. Boss, there are 2 ways to look at the situation to maintain an ideal approach to the situations that spouses face in the caregiver role. An article by Amy Norvex, published in the Monitor on Psychology, Dr. Richard Houston, PhD, diagnosed at 58 with early Alzheimer's, explains that living with this disease was like looking at life through his grandmother's lace curtains. Now that we can understand how patients with Alzheimer's perceive things and how they feel, we can look at steps that one can take to avoid caregiver stress when caring for a loved one. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services National Institute on Aging points out several good strategies. 1. Speak in a calm, clear, soothing voice that encourages a 2-way conversation, and use simple commands and questions that are easy for your loved one to follow. Remember to be patient with angry outbursts. By talking and giving your loved one time to respond, remember that it's not your loved one talking, it is the disease. Reduce excessive background noise, and that will decrease confusion and frustration. Maintain a daily routine. Reassure your loved one that everything is going to be okay. Focus on your loved one's feelings instead of so much on their actions. Use humor when possible. Provide exercise during the early hours to reduce anxiousness and give distractions like music to curb angry outbursts that make the patient feel needed. Don't argue because you will not win. Explain to others that your loved one's acting this way due to Alzheimer's. The 36-hour day has suggestions for caring for yourself to prevent burnout. Take time out. This is essential to your mental health. Give yourself a treat, maybe movie or dinner with a friend. Surround yourself with friends, because this is important in maintaining who you are. Avoid isolation and reach out to support groups in the local community. Ask for additional help if you need it. Learn to recognize the warning signs of caregiver burnout. The following are 10 warning signs listed on the Alzheimer's Association website at www.alz.org. Denial, anger, social withdrawal, anxiety about the future, depression, exhaustion, sleeplessness, irritability, lack of concentration, and health problems. Remember that stress can cause both emotional and physical health problems. Finally, if you do note any of these symptoms, remember that you're not alone in the struggle. There are excellent community resources available for families and patients with Alzheimer's and dementia-related illnesses. The book, The 36-Hour Day, by Nancy Mace and Dr. Peter Evans, and the Alzheimer's Association website are excellent resources for every aspect of care for families struggling with this issue. Remember to reach out for support groups in your area, inquire about respite care, ask family members for help if needed, inquire about adult daycare facilities. If you need any additional resources or information, I suggest that you visit the Alzheimer's Association website at www.alz.org or contact them at 1-800-272-3900 for those of you that may not have internet access. On a personal note, I recommend purchasing the book The 36-Hour Day because it is a complete A to Z guide to caring for your loved ones and yourself. And remember that in order to take care of your loved one, you must first take care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit, to avoid caregiver burnout. Thank you.